Did you know that in over 70% of reported domestic abuse cases, the victim also experienced profound psychological manipulation long before any physical harm occurred? Most people think of control as something overt, something loud. But the most dangerous cages are the ones you can't see. They're built with words. If you've ever found yourself in a conversation that left you feeling confused, guilty, or questioning your own sanity, chances are you weren't having an argument. You were being handed a script, and you were expected to read your lines. My name is Arthur Hayes. For 30 years, I made a living sitting across a cold metal table from people who had mastered the art of twisting reality. Con artists, fraud kings, charismatic criminals, they all used the same playbook. They knew that if you can control someone's perception, you can control them. What I found truly chilling, though, wasn't how often these scripts were used in an interrogation room, but how often I saw the exact same patterns play out in living rooms, boardrooms, and family dinners. These aren't just rude comments or moments of poor communication. They are precision tools. They are psychologically crafted phrases designed to destabilize you, to make you doubt your own feelings, and to hand over your power. Today, I'm not just going to show you the 5 most common phrases narcissists and manipulators use. I'm going to show you why they work, how they create a fog of confusion, and most importantly, how to break the spell. You see, once you recognize you're being handed a script, you no longer have to read from it. You can write your own ending. Let's start with the classic, the one that is so simple and yet so brutally effective. You're too sensitive. I remember a fraud case involving a man we'll call Silas. He ran a boutique investment firm, and he had this uncanny ability to make his clients feel like family. He'd remember their birthdays, send gifts for their anniversaries, a real charmer. But when his clients would notice discrepancies in their statements, tiny red flags, and they'd call him, his tone would shift. He wouldn't get angry. He'd sound disappointed. He'd let out a soft sigh and say, "Margaret, you know I think the world of you, but sometimes you're just too sensitive about these little market fluctuations. You have to trust me." He wasn't just dismissing their concern, he was relabeling it as an emotional flaw. Their valid, logical suspicion was twisted into an overreaction. He made their gut instinct feel like a character defect. By the time they realized their life savings were gone, they had spent months apologizing to him for doubting his integrity. This tactic is called emotional invalidation. It's a cornerstone of gaslighting. The manipulator's goal is to make your feelings the problem, which cleverly distracts from their behavior. When you say, "Your comment hurt me," and they respond, "You're too sensitive," they have successfully changed the subject from their action to your reaction. It's a psychological judo flip. Your emotional response system is like a home alarm. It's supposed to go off when something is wrong. This phrase is the equivalent of the intruder telling you your alarm system is faulty, that it's just too sensitive and goes off for no reason. Do that enough times, and you'll stop trusting your own alarm. You'll start to believe the problem is you. Think about a more common scenario. A partner consistently makes jokes at your expense in front of friends. When you tell them later that it embarrasses you, they roll their eyes. "Oh, come on, it was just a joke. You're being way too sensitive." See what happened? They sidestepped any responsibility. You're now in a position where you either have to defend your oversensitivity or just swallow your feelings and accept the mistreatment. It's a brilliant, insidious way to normalize their bad behavior. Let me ask you this. Have you ever been told your reaction was the problem, not the action that caused it? When was the last time you found yourself apologizing not for something you did, but for how you felt? That's the fog. That's the script at work. Recognizing it is the first step to clearing the air. Now for the second weapon in their arsenal, the one that wraps you in chains of obligation. "After everything I've done for you, you owe me." This one is a wolf in sheep's clothing because it masquerades as generosity. I consulted on a particularly nasty family inheritance dispute. The patriarch, a man named Sterling, had built a successful manufacturing business from the ground up. He paid for his 3 children's expensive educations, bought them their first homes, set them up with cushy jobs in the company. On the surface, he was the picture of a benevolent father. But that generosity was a currency. It was a debt that could never be repaid. Whenever one of them disagreed with a business decision or wanted to pursue a life outside the family empire, Sterling would pull out the ledger. "After everything I've given you, this is how you repay me? You owe me this." Their lives weren't gifts, they were loans. He used his kindness to create a permanent state of obligation, ensuring they could never truly be free of his control. He wasn't a father, he was a creditor. Psychologically, this is known as guilt tripping, but it's more structured than that. It's the deliberate creation of artificial debt. A healthy, genuine act of kindness is given freely, with no expectation of a specific return. This is different. This is a transaction. The manipulator gives you something, time, money, a favor, with the unstated belief that it buys them a piece of your future compliance. They are turning a relationship into a marketplace where their kindness is the product and your autonomy is the price. When they cash in that debt, refusing to pay makes you the villain, the ungrateful one. Let's bring it home. Think of a friend who helps you with a major project, something you truly needed help with. A week later, they call at midnight demanding you help them with something that crosses a boundary for you, something you're deeply uncomfortable with. When you hesitate, you get the line, "Wow, after I dropped everything to help you last week, I really thought I could count on you. I guess I know where I stand." Notice the shift. Your valid boundary is now framed as an act of betrayal. They've turned their past good deed into a weapon to demolish your present no. It makes you feel trapped, as if setting boundaries is a form of hypocrisy. So, ask yourself this. Is there anyone in your life whose kindness feels like it comes with a price tag? Do their favors feel less like gifts and more like investments they plan to cash in later? True generosity empowers you, transactional kindness indebts you. There's a world of difference between the two. The third phrase is a direct attack on your heart, a piece of emotional blackmail so potent it can make you abandon your own needs. It's the loyalty test. If you really cared about me, you'd do this. I once worked a case tracking a very clever romance scammer, a woman who went by Cassandra. She was a master of this line. She would build an intense, whirlwind online relationship with her targets over a matter of weeks. Then, the tests would begin. It would start small. "If you really care about me, you'll send me a gift card so I can buy groceries this week." The target, wanting to prove their affection, would comply. But the stakes always escalated. Soon, it was. "If you truly loved me, you wouldn't question why I need you to wire $5,000 for a family emergency." If the target ever hesitated, ever questioned the logic, Cassandra wouldn't argue the facts. She'd attack the emotion. "I knew it. You don't really love me." She made their financial self-preservation a referendum on their love. She wasn't asking for money, she was demanding proof of devotion, and the cost of failing that test was the loss of the relationship she had so carefully manufactured. This is a classic form of emotional blackmail. The manipulator creates an equation where X equals Y, where X is their demand and Y is your love, loyalty, or compassion. It forces you into an impossible choice. Either sacrifice your needs, values, or boundaries, or be defined as an uncaring person. It's a direct manipulation of your empathy. They know good people want to be seen as caring and supportive, so they hold that identity hostage. To maintain your self-image as a loving partner, a good son, or a loyal friend, you have to pay their ransom. It's a cruel and effective way to force compliance by making your own integrity the weapon used against you. Think about a partner who wants you to quit a hobby you love because it takes up too much of your time. You explain that it's important for your mental health. They don't debate that. Instead, they say, "If you really cared about our relationship, you'd want to spend that time with me instead." The conversation is no longer about a reasonable compromise. It's now a test of your commitment. Your personal need for fulfillment has been framed as a selfish act that proves you don't care enough. To win the argument and prove your love, you have to lose something essential to yourself. So, a question for you. Have you ever been put in a position where you had to prove your affection by giving up a piece of yourself? Where do you personally draw the line between healthy compromise in a relationship and emotional coercion? Understanding that line is like building a firewall for your soul. Next, we have the ultimate reality-bending tool, the phrase that makes you question what you saw with your own eyes and heard with your own ears. I didn't mean it like that, you were twisting my words. This one is a favorite in the interrogation room. A suspect will let something slip, a detail that doesn't add up. You calmly repeat their words back to them. So, you said you were at the library until 10 p.m.? Suddenly, their posture changes. They become the victim. Whoa, that's not what I said at all. Why are you twisting my words? I said around 10. It's a brilliant deflection. In a single sentence, they've managed to dodge the inconsistency, accuse you of manipulation, and seize the moral high ground. I saw this play out on a larger scale with a local politician I was advising. He'd make a clear, recorded promise to his constituents. A month later, when he'd inevitably break it, and a reporter would play the tape back to him, he would smile calmly and say, "You're taking that completely out of context. You're twisting my words to fit your narrative." He wasn't just denying his lie, he was attempting to invalidate reality itself, making the person holding the proof seem like the deceitful one. This is a potent form of gaslighting that specifically targets your perception and memory. The goal is to create a constant state of uncertainty. If a manipulator can make you doubt your own interpretation of events, they can control the narrative of your reality. They break your trust in your own mind. The argument is no longer about their words or actions, it's about your sanity, your comprehension, your fairness. They create so much cognitive dissonance that you start to wonder if maybe you are misremembering, if you are being unfair. Exhausted, you eventually concede, not because you're convinced, but because you're tired of fighting for a reality they are determined to deny. Let's apply this to everyday life. You're in an argument, and your partner says something deeply cutting. You're just like your mother. Later, when you try to address how much it hurt you, they scoff. "Oh, please. I didn't mean it like that. It was a compliment. She's a strong woman. You're always looking for a reason to be angry, twisting my words." The original insult is gone, replaced by a new narrative where they were trying to be nice, and you are the angry, irrational one. They are editing the past and making you the villain of the story. So, reflect on this for a moment. Do you ever leave conversations feeling more confused than when you entered them? How often do you find yourself arguing about what was said, rather than the issue at hand? That confusion is a red flag. It's the smoke that tells you a manipulator is trying to set fire to your reality. Finally, we arrive at the most seductive phrase of all, the one that feels like a warm embrace but is actually the closing of a cage door. "You're the only one who really understands me." This tactic is the cornerstone of cult leaders, con artists, and intensely controlling partners. It's a masterstroke of psychological isolation. I remember a case involving a man we'll call the Prophet. He ran a small, high-control, spiritual wellness group. His recruitment method was flawless. He would find people who were feeling lost or misunderstood, and he would shower them with profound attention. He'd listen for hours, mirroring their deepest insecurities and dreams. And then he'd deliver the payload. "In all my years, you're the first person who truly sees the vision. You're the only one who really understands." He made each follower feel like the chosen one, the special confidant. But this specialness was a poison pill. It came with an unspoken condition. To maintain that unique status, they had to distance themselves from anyone who didn't share the vision. Family became negative influences. Old friends just didn't get it. He didn't build walls to keep them in. He convinced them to lock the door from the inside, leaving them utterly dependent on him for their sense of self-worth. The psychological mechanic here is isolation through idealization. It is incredibly effective because it doesn't feel like a criticism, it feels like the ultimate compliment. The manipulator elevates you onto a pedestal, making you their sole confidant, their emotional rock. This serves two purposes. First, it makes you feel responsible for their well-being, creating a powerful bond of dependency. Second, and more importantly, it creates a special club of two, with the rest of the world on the outside. Anyone who expresses concern, your friends, your family, can now be easily dismissed. They're just jealous, the manipulator will say. They don't understand our connection. Your support system is reframed as a threat. Think of a new romantic relationship that moves with incredible speed and intensity. This person tells you they've never met anyone like you, that everyone else in their past was shallow, and that you are the only one who sees their true self. It's intoxicating, but you soon notice they subtly critique your best friend. They find reasons to dislike your family gatherings. Slowly but surely, your social calendar begins to revolve exclusively around them. You're not being held captive, you're being curated. Your world is shrinking, but it feels special, exclusive. You're being isolated, but they call it love. Ask yourself these questions. Does someone in your life build you up by tearing others down? Has a relationship ever led you to become more distant from the people who have known you the longest? A healthy relationship should integrate into your life, not replace it. Be wary of anyone who offers you an exclusive world that is often just a beautifully decorated cell. So there you have it. 5 phrases, 5 invisible scripts. You're too sensitive to invalidate your feelings. After everything I've done for you, to create artificial debt. If you really cared, to blackmail your emotions. You're twisting my words, to distort your reality. And you're the only one who understands me, to isolate you. Do you see the common thread? Every single one of these tactics is designed to destabilize you, to take you off balance by making you question your feelings, your memories, your gratitude, your love, and your very perception of reality. Manipulation thrives in confusion. It withers under the bright light of clarity. For decades, I've told young detectives the same thing. Always trust your gut. That feeling in the pit of your stomach when a story doesn't add up, when someone's charm feels a little too slick, that's not paranoia. That's your finely tuned instinctual threat detection system. It's firing for a reason. In your personal life, it's the exact same principle. When a conversation leaves you feeling foggy, guilty, or off-kilter, pay attention. That is your alarm bell ringing. The most powerful thing you can do is not to learn a clever comeback. You don't have to win the argument. You just have to refuse to play the game. The script flip isn't about out-talking them, it's about recognizing the script and calmly closing the book. A simple, "My feelings are valid," or "We remember that conversation differently," or even just, "I'm not going to continue this discussion," is enough. It's not a declaration of war, it's a declaration of sovereignty over your own mind. You are taking your power back. Recognizing these scripts is the first step to breaking free. Trust your instincts. Set your boundaries. And never let anyone else be the sole author of your reality. I'm curious to know, have you heard any of these phrases used in your own life? Comment below and share how you handled it, because your story might just be the dose of clarity someone else needs to see through the fog. And if you want to learn more about decoding the hidden scripts of human behavior, make sure you subscribe.